Y'all, this one might get you married. Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the almost weekly web series where we find, test, and sometimes create the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're tackling a low carb comfort recipe so delicious, some people say you might get married over it. Welcome to Low Carb, Marry Me Chicken. Stay tuned. All right, guys, marry me chicken. This is a recipe that is extremely versatile, both in the ingredients and in the cooking method. We're gonna do it today in a skillet, but it can just as easily be done in a crock pot, and I'll give you both directions for that. This is a popular recipe that lends itself well to a lot of substitutions, which we'll discuss as we go along. This is sort of my recipe remake of this. It's a pretty popular recipe. I think a lot of people have versions of this and have for many years, but this one's mine. I'm gonna leave a link down here on the screen. It's also gonna be in the video description below. It's just my website, highfalutinlowcarb.com. And you can use that link to print this recipe out. Don't worry about writing any of this down. If you don't want to visit the website, it's also going to be written in the first comment below and underneath this video and in the video description. So let's get started. But before we do, I need to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, Trade. Trade helps you make better coffee at home. It's a coffee subscription service that delivers coffee that's curated just for you directly to your front door, how and when you want it. Trade sources the best coffees across the country and brings them right to your doorstep. They've built relationships with over 55 local craft roasters so you can enjoy their expertise right from the comfort of your home. Now, you'll visit their website and take a quiz about your preferences, and they will map those preferences to hundreds of different coffee flavor profiles. Their technology pairs you with the best coffees using art and science. Now, one of the most important parts of this equation is that Trade roasts your coffee to order and delivers it exactly when you need it, usually within 48 hours of roasting, so you are sure to receive the freshest roast possible. And that fresh roast, whether you're getting it ground or whole bean, really means a tremendous amount of the flavor. Everything I've tried from them has been amazing because I told them in the quiz what I like in a coffee, and that's what they're shipping me. Now, there are multiple ways to experience Trade. You can get one of their subscription plans like I have, or you can try one of their starter packs just to see if this is going to work out for you. But right now, Trade is offering a fantastic deal for Highfalutin Low Carb viewers. You can get a free bag of fresh coffee with a subscription purchase by visiting drinktrade.com/highfalutin. I'm going to put that link in the video description and it'll be here on the screen. But again, go to drinktrade.com/highfalutin for your free bag of fresh coffee with a subscription purchase. Now, I say this all the time, sponsorships aren't why I do this, they're how I do this. And sponsorships like Trade keep channels like mine on the air, and for that I am truly appreciative. So guys, if you want to support me, go support them and try out Trade coffee today. All right, I'm gonna go drink this coffee. I'll meet you right back here. Come on. Okay, so let's get started on this recipe. It goes pretty quickly. If you're gonna do this in a skillet, I'm gonna give you the directions now, but all of this can be done in a crock pot except this first step. We need to render some bacon fat. You can omit this if you're doing it in the crock pot. You're not gonna make a huge difference in the recipe, but this does lend a nice smoky flavor, obviously. So I've got a skillet over medium heat, pretty large skillet using cast iron. I've put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom because it's easier to render fat for me, like bacon, if there's a little bit of fat just to sort of get things moving a little bit. So I'm just gonna render this down over medium heat until we've got crispy bacon and a lot of bacon fat. And then I'm gonna take a slotted spoon and pull this out of there, leaving the fat behind so that we can obviously cook in the bacon fat. So I'm going to speed this up and I'll meet you right back here just as soon as this is rendered. Okay, so our bacon is crispy and rendered, and now we need to add to our bacon fat here 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter and just sort of move that around so this gets melted. And now we're going to cook our chicken. This is 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. It's actually a little, this is about a pound, 2¼ pound, I think is what it is. Again, it's very versatile. I've cut these into smaller bits so that they cook faster and it's just a little easier to eat. And you may want to do this in batches if you have to. I've already seasoned it with salt and pepper in the bowl and cook this over medium heat, 4 or 5 minutes on each side. And then we're going to reserve these to a plate, and then I'm going to cook the second batch. So I'm going to do that now. You want these 4 or 5 minutes per side. Turn them over. If they're slightly undercooked, that's fine, because this is going to go in the oven for a few short minutes. So I'm going to speed all this up so you don't have to watch me brown this. We're going to do it in 2 batches, and I'll meet you right here just after that. All right, so our chicken is all browned, and we've got it on a plate sitting covered on the back of the burner back there. This is all of our fat. I'm going to remove most of this and leave behind just a couple of tablespoons. That's just too much fat for what we're doing here. The macros, unfortunately, that I'm going to give you later, do have that amount of fat in the macros, because this is hard to calculate. So just know that there's probably going to be a little less fat. You can leave that in there if that's your choosing, but it gets a little greasy and not as unctuous. Okay, let's put this back on medium heat, and now we're going to use a half a cup of white onion that has been chopped. You can use onion powder, but honestly there are carbs in onion powder too, so I'd rather build some flavor with a real onion if I can. So in the same skillet, try to give this about 3 or 4 minutes over medium heat. Kind of scrape and move around all that beautiful fond we have on the bottom of the pan, all that chicken and bacon that have been cooked on. That's where all of our flavor is stuck in that. We got to get it up. So I'm going to speed this up and just saute these onions for about 3 minutes. After about 3 minutes, I'm going to add in a tablespoon of garlic. This is about 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, depending on the size. And yes, come at me, I use jarred garlic. So I'm going to let that bloom for about a minute after I let this cook for about 3 minutes. So I'll meet you back here shortly. Okay, so our onion has cooked and is fairly translucent. I've let our garlic bloom for about 60 seconds. You don't want to burn it. It's easy to burn the garlic. And now a cup of chicken stock goes in, and we are going to use a wooden spoon or a wooden spatula and simmer this until it comes to a nice simmer, and work to get that fond off the bottom of this pan. You don't want to do it with a metal utensil, but do it with a wooden spoon. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so our broth is simmering here. We've kind of worked all of that beautiful fond off the bottom of the pan. And now we're going to add in our either coconut cream or heavy cream. This is a full 13.5 ounce jar of full fat coconut milk. You don't want coconut milk in a carton like is in the refrigerated section. This is a canned product. So that goes in. You can also use heavy cream if you want to do that, an equal amount of heavy cream. And then we're also going to add in 3 ounces of cream cheese, which I prefer, or 3 ounces of Greek yogurt. I'm out of cream cheese today, and this is a very versatile recipe. So today I'm going to use Greek yogurt, but again, cream cheese gets it a little bit thicker. So we're going to do that. And then lastly, we're going to add in, as far as our dairy goes, a half a cup of shredded or grated Parmesan cheese. And in that goes. So now we're going to just sort of stir this together. You might want to lower the heat just a hair, just slightly below medium low maybe. And we need to bring this to a simmer, and we're going to simmer this for 4 or 5 minutes just to let it thicken up. But we're also going to add in our dried spices to this as well, so that these can bloom. And this is a half teaspoon each of paprika, oregano, thyme, and red pepper flakes. So a half a teaspoon of each of those is where we're going to start. And then in that goes into the pool. And let's just work this around. Again, bring this to a simmer, and let's simmer this for about 5 minutes. Oh, I also forgot, we want to add in our reserved juices from our chicken. We're not ready to add the chicken just yet, but all of those beautiful juices I want to carefully add back to the pan just so they can cook down with all of this, and we don't have any scares of uncooked juice, you know what I mean? And I'm going to bring this back up to about medium heat. I'm going to cook this for 5 minutes. Just keep it moving. You don't want it to burn and you don't want it to stick, but you do want it to thicken up. And you can add some xanthan gum to this, but I try to avoid it when I can, just because sometimes it gets a little slimy texture. And I hope it's all going to fit in the skillet. I've done this as a half recipe before when I was testing it, and it fit fine, and I thought I'd have room to do both. But if this gets unwieldy and it starts to run out of here, we may switch it to a 9x13 casserole. But after this goes, we put their chicken in and it goes in the oven. But I'm going to speed this up. We're going to cook this for 5 minutes and let it simmer down. Meet you right back here. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Our sauce has thickened up, and now we're going to add in one of the main ingredients in Marry Me chicken is sun-dried tomatoes. I don't like sun-dried tomatoes, so if you do, be sure to please add them. I'm just not a fan of their final texture when they come out. It's just like a little hard I'm just not a fan. So I am using, instead, for my version, roasted red peppers, just a jar of roasted red peppers, or you could go to the trouble of roasting your own. You're going to want about 1/3 cup of chopped roasted red pepper. We're going to add that in to our sauce. That gives the color and the flavor that really is part of the Marry Me recipe. And now, with the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I'm going to try to get all this, just carefully slide our chicken into our sauce very gently. We've already put the reserved juice in so that could cook. And now, woo, it's full, but it's going to work, y'all. Get out of the way. All right, so spread this out so that this fits in the pan and all of our chicken is covered in our beautiful sauce. And now this is going to go, we're going to bring it back to a quick simmer so that we know it's cooking through. And then I'm going to put this as it is, the skillet without a lid. We're going uncovered in a 350-degree oven that's already been preheated. We're going to let this go for 10 minutes, maybe 12. Take it out and let it stand for 5 minutes. And then we're going to come back. I'm going to garnish it with our leftover bacon and some Parmesan cheese and test this thing. And I'll show you the macros and all the details. And I'll meet you right back here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, we are back, and our Marry Me chicken is out of the oven. It looks great now. This has been cooling for about 5 minutes, and you can see it's a rather liquidy. You know, if I were doing this, I didn't put the xanthan gum in, just because some people prefer it, some people don't. If you use the 1/8 of a teaspoon of xanthan gum, this would really have thickened up a lot. So would the cream cheese have helped. So if you were going to do it without, I would probably cut the chicken broth down to a 1/2 cup instead of a full cup. That'll give you a little bit thicker sauce, or you can use the xanthan gum. This can be served on a lot of things. I'm going to use spaghetti squash, just some steamed spaghetti squash that I did in the microwave. You can also do it in the oven while you're preheating, whatever. Spaghetti squash season is now, so I just love that. Zucchini noodles or zoodles, some sort of low carb or keto pasta that you prefer. Mashed cauliflower, riced cauliflower, just something as a bed for this. So I'm going to use the butternut squash. So let's talk about nutrition real quick before we taste this. This makes 6 servings, 6 hefty portions. The nutrition information I'm about to give you does not include your base, whatever you're going to use, the spaghetti squash or the cauliflower. But it does include all that fat at the beginning. If you remember, I poured off probably about 1/4 cup, maybe 1/3 a cup of fat from the skillet and left behind a couple of tablespoons of fat. That's hard to calculate, so just know that your calories that I'm about to give you and fat, if you choose to drain it off, are going to be considerably less. So, all that said, if you make 6 servings of this, 1 serving is 407 calories. You've got 28.6 grams of fat. You've got 32.5 grams of protein, 7.9 grams of total carbs, 0.2 grams of fiber, so that leaves you with 7.7 grams of net carbs per serving. So that's not bad at all. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let's taste this. I'm going to get some of my spaghetti squash out. Oh yeah, that looks beautiful. And again, you use what you prefer. If you don't like spaghetti squash, you don't have to. And kind of stir this up. Sometimes the oil comes to the top, our bacon fat. And let's put our chicken on. And it would be a little bit more gravy full. Obviously, in the real recipe, this is covered. This has got flour and all sorts of things in it that thicken this up, but we don't have that. So we're going to use our cream cheese for that, and some cooking time for that, and probably the xanthan gum if you don't mind. All right, so that goes on. Let me clean this up because I'm going to take a picture of that real quick. And be careful of your skillet. It has been in the oven and it is scalding hot. So burn, you will never forget. Okay, to this we're going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Yes, I use bag and I don't care. I know it's got sawdust in it. That's what everybody loves to say. A little Parmesan cheese to gild the lily there. And then some of our crispy bacon that we've reserved at the beginning. That can go on top. So that looks pretty darn good. Okay, hold on one sec. All right, so photos have been taken. Look how beautiful this is. And now, most importantly, what does this taste like? You're going to probably want to use a knife and a fork when you really sit down to eat. But you know me, I don't wait for that kind of stuff, especially if it's hot. Burn my face off. All right. Creamy, I can see it. So rich, so creamy. I would, like I said, I would definitely add the xanthan gum or cut the broth back a little bit in half. But y'all, that is so good. Marry me? I don't know. You might get an engagement proposal out of this. All right, guys, there you have it. Low carb, marry me chicken, at least my version of it. If you get engaged, it ain't my fault. So this is a great recipe, like I said, for doing on the stovetop, or just throw everything in the crock pot, put it on low for 6 hours or high for 3 hours, and come home to a delicious meal ready to go. So thank you so much for joining me. I say it every time, these videos are a way for me to maintain my low carb way of eating. And looking in the end of that camera as often as I can helps keep me honest. So I appreciate that you guys have come along for the journey. If you will, do me a favor and like this video and hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already. If you're already a subscriber, make sure you hit the bell button. It'll turn on notifications so you're notified just as soon as I release a video. It's free to you, and it's really important to the YouTube gods out there, and they will recommend this video to other like-minded people who might like similar content. I also need to thank again my sponsor for this, Trade Coffee. Be sure to visit their link down below, drinktrade.com. You'll get a free bag of fresh coffee with your any subscription purchase. So thank you so much for sponsoring me. And I also want to give a huge thank you to my rock stars, my Patreon members. If you don't know what Patreon is, think of it as the tip jar for the internet. It lets people like you who enjoy what people like me do here on YouTube. You can give $1 or $2 a month just to keep the train on the track. So their names are scrolling here. Without them, none of this would be possible. So thank you so much, guys. I love you very much. I'll see you very soon for another recipe remake or another recipe comparison. All right, today is a good day to have a good day.